Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all
Nerds!
International. With the hyphen.
The Murder Hobo Show presents the Savage Rifter Podcast.
Oh, where are we?
Oh my god, there's a robot!
What? Run away!
I don't know what's happening.
Oh, it's like we're falling through rips in the time-space continuum.
Look out, we're in the middle of war zone!
There's only one way through this. Are you with me?
Yeah.
We must fight.
The Savage Rifter Podcast.
Oh my goodness. Welcome to the Savage Rifter Show, episode 14. I am one of your hosts, Gary, aka the Murder Hobo, and I am here with none other than world-renowned and infamous riff superstar DJ Jazzy Diaz.
Y'all ready for this?
Of the Savage Riff's G Plus community fame. All right, Victor, round two, now that we got the recording settled and underway. What's happening there, guy?
Game on, Gary. You know how it goes. We got to hit the button first, people, before we can get this podcast started. I am the one and only Victor, the Savage Rifter. You guys know how to find me. G Plus Community is where we live and play. How's it going, Gary? What's new?
I did some Wise Guys on Sunday. That was pretty exciting.
Oh,
so
fun. Awesome.
Yeah, I managed to get some gaming in, which is pretty exceptional. And other than that, it's just been the same old. It's work, and more work. So I actually. Speaking of which, I busted out Fantasy Grounds today and I did some sweet stuff. We're doing an Orcus Pocus 40-man event at my friendly local gaming store, a place called Nerd Haven. So if you're from Vancouver, British Columbia, in that area, there's a little gaming store at Abbotsford. End of this month, we're going to be doing a 40-man D&D 5th edition tournament.
Wow,
Orcus
wait a minute. You said 40?
Yes, sir.
40?
Yes.
Wow, dude, that's going to be sick.
Yeah, we'll be the third one that we've done. This will be the third one. We've done two other ones that were 40 plus. Usually 6-7 DMs. We break it up. We have a system. This one is actually going to be pretty interesting because we're doing Orcus, who's the demon prince of death. And Orcus will be coming from table to table. He'll start off at a random table. He'll kick some ass and take some names. And then when he portals out, he's actually taking a player with him to the next table.
Table swapping. Nice.
Yeah, that's going to be the gist on this one. So that's what's happening here pretty soon. I was working on that tonight, throwing some art together, getting that up and running. And
if you guys haven't checked out his paper mini Orcus on the Google Plus page, you got to check that out. That is sick. Who makes that, Gary?
That's done by a guy that Printable Heroes. Well worth it.
Yeah.
Silhouette cutting the cutters that I have for my paper miniatures and stuff like that. This Printable Heroes guy, I'm not sure what his real name is, so I'm just going to call him that. He does cut files, so you don't even have to do any work. You literally just drag the creature onto the page, set it where you want it, orientate it, scale it to size, hit the print, throw it in the cutter, mass easy. It's awesome. Well worth it. Love the guy. He's my favorite. But anyways, we're not here to talk about that. Let's get some riffs action underway. This is a podcast all about said Savage World's riffs. We break down Savage riffs piece by piece so Victor can teach me, because I'm adult, and you, the listener, how to play, enjoy, and understand riffs. What are we doing today, Victor? I'm very excited because I already know.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have officially finished the very first part of Chapter 1, which is all of the iconic frameworks, and we are going to be starting on DBs and Mutants. That's right, page 48 of the Tommorow Legion Players Guide. If you're following along, DBs and Mutants, we're going to be talking about custom races, racial abilities, the Altairs, the Dog Boys. There's a whole slew of stuff. Let's see how many we can get through, Gary.
Yes, we're going to rip off as many as we can. Let's start powering. Yeah, I'm hoping we can start powering through some of this stuff. That's really what I'm getting at there. So is there a race that has like multiple arms? I can shoot 4 guns at once. Maybe 2 guns, throw a grenade.
Only you are the one who would want multiple arms. The Lin cereal is actually humanoids with 4 arms, bird-like heads, They're the ones with their like golden scales and they can fly. They're pretty cool. They're considered like, I would say holy knights. They call themselves sky knights, I think. But they're located, I believe, in the Grand Canyon in Arizona.
Wow, nice. I just like flying races. I want to make a flying race with a couple of arms and then just fly over people and poop on them just like last time. That's my favorite part of the dragon. Nice.
That's awesome. Can't wait to see it.
All right, let's get over and smash some news out, see what's new in the Rifts community here.
Hey there, Mr. Suit-wearing guy. Yes, that's me. Don't I know you from someplace before? Yeah, I do know you. What's new with you, man? Well, I suppose I can tell you what's new.
From the Rifts.
Take it away, Victor.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, ding, ding, ding. We got 600 plus people. I believe we had a couple of people show up very recently today, so I've inducted them into the Hall of Fame that is the Google Plus community, and so happy that everybody's gotten a chance to be able to log in there. They've gotten their friends, their uncles, their brothers, their kids to log in and be a part of that great community. Thank you so much for spreading the word and starting the podcast, Gary. It's made a big difference, and I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but 600 people in 1 year is a lot. You guys have seen how many people we've had download the podcast and all the discussions that we've had about the people coming on. I had to ask Peter Adams to help me moderate and monitor the Google Plus community because you guys are great. Big shout out to the Google Plus community. We wouldn't be here without you. Thank you so much for doing that.
Did you and Peter hang outside of Walmart over the weekend and try and spread the good word of Savage Rifts like a couple of Jehovah's Witnesses or something like that?
We had our Tommorow Legion Players guys out there and we were preaching it like there was no tomorrow. I just couldn't get Peter to stop throwing D20s at everybody. He kept trying to bless everybody.
Wow. I don't know what to
he's
say
that
to
kind of
that.
guy. He's a zealot.
Wow.
If you guys haven't checked out Peter Adams' his blog and his website, he's got a bunch of stories and stuff that he's been digging up and putting up on that website for quite a few years. So it's pretty cool. If you haven't checked it out, go ahead and look him up on the G Plus page. I'm sure there's a link there somewhere for him.
There is. I believe it's mymegaverse.org, something like that. I'm pretty sure. I'll put links.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
Links in the show notes. John Nieper has posted a link to a play-by-post Savage Rifts forum section place thingy he's got going on. I believe it's savagerifts.com//SR or something like that. I haven't had a chance to take a look at it. It looks like a forum of some kind, and it's play-by-post. So if you don't have time to do Roll20 or meet face-to-face, maybe this is play-by-post is the way you want to go. You can check out John Nieper's post over at the Google Plus community, and I'll put a link in the show note, of course. We were talking about this earlier, too. Question from Terry Hansen. I was asking the great murder hobo. I like that he put that in there, especially after what he was saying today.
We may have to change your name. That's a good one. That's a keeper.
I think the only reason it says great is in regards to my size.
It's your voice, Gary. It's your voice.
Maybe that's what it is. The sultry, sexy tones of a giant, fat, bald, old guy.
Oh, baby.
How would the new power durations from Flash Gordon work in Savage Rifts? Would using them be too powerful even for Rifts? Take it away, Victor.
Thanks so much, Gary. So great question. In the new Flash Gordon, there are some new rules. If you haven't been keeping up, there is a new rules on the what they call the revised power system. If you want to look that up, take out your rule book for your Savage Worlds of Flash Gordon, and you can look at page 83. It's all summed up in one really nice little tight column there. The durations listed in Savage Worlds with a duration of 3 rounds now have a duration of 5 rounds. So that's kind of a giveaway right out of the rule book. But that's going to make a big difference on those short, extended powers that you want to be able to hold on to for just a little bit longer. So take a look at your rule books. Cross out that duration 3 out of your Savage World Deluxe rulebook and put in duration 5 if you're going to be using that. I would use the rules right as they're written. Also, maintaining powers. So now it costs only 1 power point to maintain a power from its base duration. Well, think about that for a minute. Before, it was 2 or 3 or sometimes the entire cost of the spell to be able to continue maintaining the power for a round or more rounds than the power was originally supposed to be cast for. So, for example, after 5 rounds, a caster can extend a power another 5 rounds for 1 power point. So if you have a spell that costs you 5 power points to cast, say it's Armor of Ithan, it's the armor spell. After 5 rounds, you can just spend 1 more power point and you can get it for 5 more rounds again. So everybody's thinking that, or at least the person asking, it was Terry Hansen. He was asking if that was going to be a little bit too powerful. And I don't think so. I think it fits right into what the pulpy magic gonzo world that Rifts really is. I really like it. I'm looking forward to using it in my next games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty cool. You know, it's the one thing that I find everybody calls mages glass cannons, but really they kind of are, because they're really powerful, but most of the time in most role-playing games can just do sort of one thing really well. You know, cast a big fireball and do a bunch of devastation and stuff like that. But inside of Savage Worlds, you can cast multiple spells, do, you know, multiple actions and stuff like that. Just take your penalty and away you go. This is going to allow you to get more... what's the word I'm looking like? More bang for your buck out of your PPE pool, which is pretty sweet. So, man, anytime you do changes
it makes
like
you
this,
more efficient as a anytime you can get those extra power points or save extra power points when you're casting spells, it's going to make you more efficient as a magic user. A leyline wizard, a psionicist, a mystic, anything that's going to have the arcane backgrounds, it's going to make you a little bit better, make you last a little bit longer. And that's what you want as a mage, because you don't want to be a glass cannon and fire it off and kill the first guy, and then you realize that the really bad guy is the one that was standing behind him. So now you're out of power points. You're looking for a ley line or a battery or something to recharge yourself with, and you're just firing off laser pistols, because that's really all you have left. But people call a wizard a glass cannon behind his back. Stand in front of a ley line wizard, and when you're looking at the barrel of that cannon, it's not the same kind of conversation that you're going to have with him.
Mm-hmm. No, it's like I was saying somewhere else. I don't remember where I was talking about it, but it's one of the cool parts about Rifts is like, when you get into a combat situation inside of Rifts, actually even outside of combat and stuff like that, usually there's like 5 things that you can do. You've got a bunch of free actions. You can multi-action spells. Like, you really feel like a powerful piece of machinery when you're playing a spellcaster or a magic user inside of Rifts, as opposed to other settings where you might just get off a spell or two. You know, the multi-action penalty puts you at a -2, -4 if you're going to try and cast like 3 spells. And that could be pretty steep when you're rolling, you know, a target number of 4 as a new character, and you've got maybe a D6, D8 in your spirit. So There's like a 50% chance or worse that your spell's not going to go off if you start multicasting. So, you know, this is going to alleviate that tension on losing your spell points, which is another cool thing. I can't remember if you mentioned it, but inside of... the Flash Gordon setting now, if your spell fails, you only lose half the power points. So yeah, it's like, let's get her going, man.
Yeah, the only time you'd actually lose all of your spell points is whenever you have a critical failure. You lose all of your power points whenever you roll all 1s on your dice. So it's going to be pretty rare that you can lose all those power points if you're going to be using the new revised power system out of the Savage Worlds of Flash Gordon. And as you know, a lot of these rules are going to be included in the new Savage Worlds Black, of what they've been talking about will be the next edition of Savage Worlds. So really looking forward to putting that together. But you're right. The multi-action penalty is kind of cool because it allows you to do what a lot of other systems do not allow you to do, and that is cast multiple spells in one round. And you have a good point. Lower level wizards, lower level leyline wizards, leyline walkers, however you guys want to call them, psionicists or whatever they may be. Yeah, you're going to get a pretty hard penalty. It's going to be, for you to be able to cast 2 or 3 spells in one turn. But when you're talking about a veteran rank level leyline wizard with a D12 in spellcasting, rolling a 4, it's going to be a default. I mean, it's going to be easy for you to be able to get into that. So when you need to roll an 8 or a 9 just to get 3 spells off because you have a -4 penalty to 2 or 3 different spells that you're casting in one turn, that's going to be a little easier for the higher ranked characters to be able to get off. So think about that next time you're making a character and you want to spend some of those points on gaining ranks or gaining spellcasting ability. The faster you do that, the faster you're going to be able to get rid of some of those negative penalties and maybe just use a Benny and re-roll one time so you can really hit it when you need to, casting 3 spells in one round. And that's pretty awesome. Only in Savage Worlds can you do that.
Mm-hmm. Sweet. Game Master Willie, Dog Boy Dayton, and Glitter Boy Mitch have a new video out. You can go watch them play some Savage Rifts. They're at Karmic Cycle, I think, on the YouTubes. And on Twitch TV, it's /WILEYVERSE. These guys are doing a Savage Rifts. They're playing a game. Sorry, I almost for a second was going to say they're doing like a vlog or something like that, but no, they're playing a campaign over at the Twitch TV. So if you want to see Savage Rifts in action, that's the place to go. Twitch TV /WILEYVERSE. And that's going to be it. We're out of the news section and on to the Nexus points. Let's get into the meat and potatoes of this bad boy. It's DBs and Mutants time.
Nexus points.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be talking about DBs and Mutants today, page 48 of the Tommorow Legion's Player's Guide. And first up, it's talking about how to do custom races. So as everybody knows, the Megaverse is what it's called in Rift's Earth. And it's talking about a whole lot of dimensions, a whole lot of rifts that open up to a whole other set of worlds where you can get all kinds of DBs, mutants, and every race that's pretty much in every Savage World game you've ever played, and then some. So if everybody doesn't understand what a DB is spelled DBEES, and it stands for Dimensional Beings. But it's a nickname that everybody on Rift's Earth picked up because that's what the Coalition was selling them as, if you see a DB, report them to your local Coalition office so we can get rid of them for you, so to speak. And we know what all that means. But it goes right into custom races. It starts talking about how you can create your own original races. So you don't even have to use the ones that are in the book. They're more of a suggestion. I mean, you can play if you want to play a Psy Stalker, if you want to play a Quick Flex, a Lin Serial, and all those other great mutant races. You're more than welcome to take those right out of the rulebook and go ahead and create a character at it. But it starts off with custom races, which allows you to pick pretty much any race that you've seen. And we start out with all kinds of positive racial abilities. It goes into negative racial abilities, and you'll find out how those go here in just a second. So it says when you create an original race, you simply have to choose the racial abilities that are on the following pages that I was talking about, positive and negative racial abilities. Everybody starts out with 2 free points of positive abilities. For player characters, additional positive abilities must be countered with an equal value of negative ones. So if you want to make up the Garrymon monster custom race, just pick 2 positive racial abilities. We'll give him flight because you like to fly. Mm-hmm. And I believe there's one for additional limbs.
Is there one where I can drop bombs on people?
No, but if you want to, Gary, we could make that up for you. Yeah, so when you're creating a custom race, all of the races start out with 2 free points. All of the positive racial abilities each have a cost or a value on the chart. Now, here's the example that we were talking about for Gary's race. Flight. The species can fly, and its standard pace, and it has a climb score of 0. Each time it's taken beyond the first, increase pace by +6 or climb by +1. And that costs 2 points. So if you're going to make your race fly, you're going to have to spend the 2 points on that racial ability. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to have additional abilities, you can choose to have additional positive abilities, but you're also going to have to take negative ones to counter that. So say we took immune to poison or disease. That's only 1 point. But in order to be immune to poison or disease, you're going to have to take 1 point in negative racial abilities. The first one on the chart with -1 is called bad reputation. The race is generally despised or distrusted by most common folks, usually because it's known for brutality, thievery, or reprehensible behavior towards civilization. I think they know exactly who they're talking about, Gary. So you suffer a -2 charisma when dealing with the average person in most towns and cities, and that's only a -1 penalty. So it balances out. You spent 1 to get a positive racial ability, but you also picked up a -1. So that balances out to 0. And that could be your character right there. That could be your character race. But you can pick as many of those as you want to. You take 10 positive abilities. Guess what? You're going to have to take -10 in negative racial abilities. And most of them are -1, -2, and or +1, +2. There's a couple that are +3. Like Hardy's a 3. A second shaken resulting combat does not cause a wound. That's a pretty good one, but it's pretty expensive. 3 points.
What is so the U means that it's unlimited. So you could take, for example, the very first one is adaptable. The race has a great variation among its people and cultures. Characters start with a free novice edge of their choice gotcha and must meet all of the edge's requirements. Now it says that there's a value of 2 and there's a U beside it. So that means that you could take adaptable an unlimited amount of times. That's what the U stands for. But what is the value 2? That's the 2 points?
2 is the cost. Yeah, it costs you 2 points to be able to use that. But you can take, if you want to say take 10 points worth and all of them in adaptable, you get adaptable 5 times, right?
Mm-hmm.
right? 2 points for everyone you get. But because adaptable is unlimited, that means that you can repeat that as many times as you want. Whereas hardy, you can only take once because there's a 1 next to it. The value is 3, so it's worth 3 points, but you can only take hardy once. Another good example is like keen sense. It only costs 1 point, but it has a U next to it. So that means you can take keen sense as many times as you want to spend points on it.
So if you took keen sense, say 5 times, you're going to get a +10 to your notice roll, but you have to take 5 points worth of negatives to match it.
In addition, remember, you start out with 2 for free. Anything after that, if you want to get more special abilities for every positive, you have to take a negative to get that to balance out.
They got some nice stuff in here too. Leaper, so you can like double your jumping distance. You can increase your pace. Don't breathe is another one. Construct, man, that is steep. If you wanted to be like a robot or something made of like inorganic material, like say like a golem or something like that, but the value in that bad boy is 8. That is stiff, man. There's some good stuff
8 points.
in here.
Can you imagine? That means you'd have to take 6 points of negative racial abilities just to be able to pick that right off the bat, because you get 2 for free, but that leaves you 6 points over. So now you need to pick 6 of the negative value. Wow.
I just want to take natural weaponry. It's unlimited, and it's going to give you a bite or a claw attack that causes strength plus d6 damage. It says it doesn't count as an unarmed defender, and each time the ability is taken, it increases the damage by 1 die type, or it adds AP +2. So it's 1 point.
Wow.
I could take that 5 times, increase my die type to like D12 or some stuff.
Yeah, Wolverine, anybody? There's your Wolverine character stat right there.
Yeah, that's
natural weaponry. Sweet. Wow, that's pretty good.
We got a couple more on the next page. Poisonous touch. That's pretty sweet. You can take more power points, reach, regeneration, size. They got all. Yeah, they cover the gamut, man. Sleep reduction if you don't want to sleep. Toughness.
Yeah, and if you're an old school Palladium player of Rifts, you're going to find that you're going to be able to take a lot of the positive and negative racial abilities and really put together the custom races that are in from all the 80, 90 books that there are that make up Rifts. You could practically create just about all of the skills or abilities that they have as a racial ability, or you could probably substitute a few names or a few of the words and just use the math and the systemic part of it to be able to make up all those special abilities that they have. I think this is kind of cool.
Yeah, that is pretty neat. Creating your own custom race, that's friggin' awesome. Have you ever watched what is the new Star Trek spoof by the guy that does I want to say Family Guy, Seth. Anyways, Norm Macdonald's plays this glob. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but it's like a Star Trek spoof. I'll have to look it up later. But anyways, Norm Macdonald's plays a blob. That's all he does. He's just a blob. He just walks around. He's a blob. But there's this one thing where they do this like sexy time thing with him and the head medical officer lady, and this blob basically like sort of cocoons her and forms pieces while she's cocooned naked, and he wraps around her like a burrito.
That sounds like an interesting show.
Oh my god, I will look it up when you start going over negative racial abilities, and I'll tell you what it's called because I forgot.
It's driving you nuts, isn't it? All right, negative racial abilities. So yeah, we were talking about it. There's a couple of them that are -2, -3. Most of them are 1 or 2 pointers. So you're going to have to take quite a few of these. Here's a good one. Poor Parry. You can take it up to 3 times. The race is slow to react in combat for some reason. So all of their parries are done at -1, and it's only costs you 1. Wow, that's kind of crazy. I can see like a sloth-like character, sloth-like race taking that and being pretty slow in hand-to-hand combat, not able to parry any of the attacks that they're getting. Another one that you can get is small. Small, you can take twice, and the entity is smaller than average. You get a -1 penalty to toughness, and it only costs you 1.
So when with these negatives beside this thing, and the show's called The Orville, by the way, it's actually pretty good.
The Orville. Right on, I've heard about it.
All these have a value of negatives in front of them. So when you're finished creating your custom race, does your value have to be 0, or should it be -2 because you get 2 points from before?
Yeah, you get 2 points at the start. So if you decide, I would say pick all of the positive abilities that you want in order to make the race that you have, add those all together, subtract 2, and then you have to balance it out with the same amount of negatives. So for example, if we took 10 points in abilities, We get 2 for free, so we subtract 2 from 10. That leaves us 8. So that means we need to take 8 points worth of negative racial abilities in order to balance that out.
Wow.
I feel
nice.
a worksheet coming on for that one. I think that would be cool.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff. Distinctive DB. So you are like a fluorescent giant, bumblebee or something like that can be seen for miles.
Yeah, a giant green glow in the dark centaur. That would, exactly. And you would take that. Here it gives you a -1 charisma when dealing with coalition soldiers, officials, and most citizens. People are just afraid of you because, you look weird. So that would it gives you the option of being -1 or -2. It says, if the race can hide its inhuman features, the GM's call, this is worth -1. So in other words, if you can throw a cloak over yourself, look like a Jedi, and then you take the cloak off and you have blue skin and antennas, you can hide it. But if you were like a neon green centaur, you probably couldn't. So in that case, that would be worth -2 points.
Mm-hmm. I like the environmental weakness. That's probably something that I would take.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's a good one. Yeah, exactly.
Poor parry. So if you're just a big slow blob, you could take that, which is pretty sweet. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff in here. Slow, small, restricted path. Unable to pursue certain paths. Well, that's kind of a cool one to throw in there too. So basically you couldn't take magic or something. Yeah,
I couldn't do magic, couldn't do psionics. Maybe you're a null psion. There's no way you can't be red. You can't ever use those powers to get that ability. Cyber resistant is a good one. Cyberware doesn't work for your race. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
This would be fun. Cannot speak.
What? Where's that? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Either the race has no vocal cords or it cannot form the normal sounds made by most other races. Oh, dude, that would be so much fun. Anyways, moving on. We're going to be talking a little bit here. Let's go on to page 52. Altara, the blind warrior women of Altara. Now, these guys are pretty awesome. Everybody loves to play these, but they tend to be the elite soldiers and bodyguards of all the Splugorth warriors, all the Splugorth slavers, excuse me. They're the ones that are riding around on that big old UFO on the outside, protected by many force fields, and they tend to throw themselves wildly at their enemies just because they're really good in hand-to-hand combat. So here's an example. The Altara women have this ability of attractive. The forced evolution process administered to the warrior women includes genetically engineering them for beauty. Altara have the attractive edge. They have bad reputation. And of course, the whole reason why they call them the blind warrior women, they are blind. They are created blind. And it's only a minor drawback for the Altaras because they have a natural radar ability that extends 1,200 feet. That's 200 scale inches, for those of you that are doing the math. That compensates for the penalties. So they can't read, of course, because all they see is the paper. They don't see the letters on the paper. They can't see colors. And otherwise, they detect purely visual information. So the only way they would be able to, see things such as letters and whatnot is they would have to be carved or embossed or raised on a particular target. I remember we had a player character one time that was a blind warrior woman from Altara, and they were trying to talk to her, but they didn't want to say anything to her. Well, she might be blind, but she can still read lips because she can see the action. So they would mouth things to her from a distance, and she would kind of try to read their lips. I remember one time they tried to leave her a note, and they're like, that's not going to work because she can't read letters, so how are we going to do it? So they wrote it in the sand on some concrete. There was some sand on there, and they wrote, the message that they wanted to do. And because it was indented in the sand, the message stayed long enough for her to be able to pick it up and pick it out. She kind of figured out what it was. So that was pretty cool. But the blind warrior women of Altara, there's a couple of other bonuses and other things they get. Stormfouled senses, instilled ignorance, genetic engineering, superior sense, and of course, they're wanted. Any minion of the Splugorth, including most of the Altara warrior women, attacked to capture or killed rogue Altara in an instant. So, that's the Altara blind warrior woman. That's a pretty cool race. And you can see where they used all the negative and positive abilities to be able to create that one.
Yeah, the Splugorth guys, who are the guys that come and sell weapons?
That's a
different group?
It is a different group. They're like the little gray men that we're used to seeing all the time in all the YouTube videos and stuff, all the conspiracy theories about aliens. Those guys are called, of course, the Naruni. Yeah, there's a weapons catalog that we put together based off of the stuff that they sell. They're actually not pirates, but they're like corporate pirates, but they sell all kinds of weaponry, power armor, vehicles. They specialize in plasma pistols, plasma weaponry, rifles, automated guns, and cannons. The Naruni weapon catalog is located on the G Plus page if you guys want to check that out. It's been a group project that we all started, but yeah, the Naruni are pretty cool. I think it'd be fun to play them as a race, and I think the Naruni are a race you can play in the original Rifts games. I'll have to dig up that book, but that would be interesting to be able to create those as a custom race and see how it comes out.
Nice. I like the next one. Well, I mean, I like the Blind Warrior Women of Altair, to tell you the truth. I know that they can't because, we're in that day and age where everything has to be, what's the word I'm looking for, like politically correct. So they make out like the Blind Warrior Women of Altair are like these sexy, hot looking women that can't see and stuff like that. But the picture of her, she's just kind of plain Jane with short hair and whatnot, right? It would have been sweet if they would have been, never mind. Denor.
You're letting your imagination get away from you. Yeah, but you're right, Gary, though. If you take a look at the old Rifts books, they're painted up as pretty much like, really beautiful Amazon-like warriors with some high-tech weaponry. And some of them have like half helmets that cover over their eyes, or they have like really cool bands that go across their eyes that completely block their vision. And a lot of people think they can see, but they can't. They're genetically engineered to be blind and have that special ability. It can be pretty unnerving, though, because trying to sneak up on a Splugorth with all of those blind warrior women around, it does not. That's a tough fight. I've played it 101 ways from Sunday, and I've never known anybody to be very successful and destroy a Splugorth on the first turn, or even on the 10th turn. I know the group that I was playing Rifts with, they saw that and they encountered that, and after round 3, they were like, we're not going there. Can't do nothing to it. He took a boom gun hit from the Glitter Boys railgun at probably, 12 inches, maybe a little less, so almost point blank range. Yeah, and he just shrugged it off and kept going.
I remember you showed me a few pictures of some of the sexy lades, so to speak, in the old Rifts books, like the original Rifts books, and now all of a sudden I just want to say that I'm a little sad as a 46-year-old gaming nerd that's been playing these games since I was 8 years old. There's a lot of times that I cranked it out to some hot broads in my gaming magazines. Just saying. I think that's a thing of the past, to tell you the truth. We're not going to see the sexy lades now with this political correct movement that we got going on, and maybe as well we should.
The internet's never going to die, Gary. All you have to do is type in Altair Warrior Women, and you'll get your fun show of girls like you like to see.
Oh, be right back. Carry on.
Ladies and gentlemen, we pause for a few moments while Gary takes care of his business. Anyways, looking at page 53, we start talking about the Denora. The Denora are pretty cool because they're a very distinctive DB. These guys have like pinkish, reddish skin, and they have horns with no hair. In addition, they have a tiny series of spines on their chins. They have very dark blue eyes, and they have pointed ears. So clearly an alien race, not of this world. They've gotten the nickname of Devilmen. And I've heard a lot of players use that before whenever they meet up with them, Demon Men, Devil Men, whatever. But the Denor, they're pretty intelligent and they're extremely compassionate. They're drawn to nonviolent pursuits and social interactions. So the first reaction you get is, oh my God, look at the horns on that demon's head. And, immediately everyone starts to back away from them because they think they're going to be evil. And they turned out to be sometimes their most intelligent and most spiritual characters that they're ever going to meet, or non-player characters. I don't have a lot of experience with people playing the Denora, but I've heard a lot of interesting stories from folks. I'd love to see a game with them where somebody plays them the way they should be, but it sounds pretty interesting.
Sorry about that, Victor. I was just looking at something. They do sound good. I like the picture of them. They're like pink with horns on their head and stuff like that. They're pretty sexy.
The males tend to be a little darker, a little more purplish, maybe like a dark red, tan red in their overall skin tone. But yeah, they all have horns. They're all, humanoid, 2 arms, 2 legs, 5 fingers, 5 toes, that kind of thing. It's just the horns and the skin and the dark blue eyes. The dark blue eyes are all dark blue. There's no like irises and no lenses or anything on their eyes. So it kind of creeps people out when you first see them. But everyone immediately starts thinking, the devil and the devil men, and people start running for their lives when they see them. They're very distinctive DB. They've been around for a long time.
Creeps me out, that's for sure.
This is another one. The next page that you look at, Gary, is going to be page 54 for the Dog Boys. Yeah, everybody loves the Dog Boys, and these guys are pretty cool. The way they've broken up what they call a breed advantage edge. You have to decide what breed your character's Dog Boy is going to be, And that influences the type of edges that you can get, whether you have keen sense of smell and all kinds of other stuff.
The the Chihuahua.
One of the favorites. I've also hear pugs are pretty fun to play.
Oh man, I was driving around at work today, and I pulled up beside this car, and this pug was looking out the window. Those things are creepy looking, man. They look like Marty Egg from the old man. I don't even know what that guy's name was. Anyways, never mind. We're gonna get sidetracked here. We're trying to stay on board. Bug-eyed.
Yeah. So, anyways, we were talking about breed advantages for the dog boys. Depending on what kind of breed that you decide to take, it'll determine what attribute bonuses that you'll get. So, for example, if you take an agile breed, a strong breed or a rugged breed, you get a bonus to agility or a bonus to strength or a bonus to vigor based off of what type of breed that you want to bring. So a bulldog more than likely will be a strong breed. A German Shepherd could also be a strong breed or an agile breed. They can get around pretty good. Some of the more rugged breeds will probably be some of the larger dogs. And there's lots of advances and other trait maximums that are going to change and get increased just based off of that. I believe, for example, allowing strength to be increased 2 die types over the course of a novice rank. That all stacks with the regularly allowed once per rank attribute increase available for advances whenever you choose a dog boy with the strength increase, for example, because you get to increase it by 1 die type whenever you choose those attribute bonuses.
Where do these dog boys come from?
Okay, so the Coalition States decided to create this one genetics research lab. It's called the Lonestar Complex, and it's located in what used to be known as Austin, Texas.
Shocking.
Yeah, shocking, really. So during the Golden Age, before the rifts happened and before, the destruction of the planet, so to speak, the Coalition, in Austin, Texas, there used to be a Army base or an Air Force base. I'm not sure which, in and around the Austin area. Well, after all that was decimated and destroyed in the coming of the rifts, the actual air base survived partially intact. And so the Coalition decided to capture it, take it over, and they transformed it into a giant genetics experiments lab, and they called it the Lonestar Complex. And lo and behold, a few years later, the dog boys were born. Now, some people think that the dog boys, because you can find dog boys all over the world, but there's a lot of them that escaped, or the Coalition let them escape so they can breed and see how they could breed with other races, whether they would breed true, whether they would breed another dog boy, or if, it was human or whatever. So the Coalition is actually responsible for sprinkling them throughout all the known world. But ultimately, they are a genetic experiment to the Coalition. It is probably one of their best experiments, because one of the really cool things about being a dog boy is you have an extremely keen sense of smell. Not only can you smell things really well, you also have very good psychic senses. So you can detect a ley line wizard in a group of hundreds. You can detect a psionicist, in a theater. You can pick them out instinctively just because of your natural psychic sense. So the Coalition uses the dog boys primarily as a seek and destroy squads. They put them in a group with a Psy Stalker and a couple of dog boys, and they send them out into the woods and say, find someone, or find anyone who's magically active or psionically active. And if and they have every right to go and kill anybody that they would like, pretty much at will. And that keen sense of smell and that psychic sense are really, really awesome, even if you're playing them as a player character.
Sorry. So I'm sure you've seen this before, but have you ever seen a dog hump a pillow and then you take the pillow away and the dog sits there and just keeps humping? Minor hindrance. That's all I'm saying. Anytime you see a pillow, you just start humping the air, or minor hindrance, smells your butt every time that you instead of shaking your hand, the dog just comes up and sticks its nose up your arse. I could see a lot of problems playing this race, especially if I'm in control.
It could be a lot of fun, especially if you play the Chihuahua. Can you imagine?
My all-time favorite, though, is when a dog wipes its butt on the carpet. I don't know if you've ever seen that, but when it kicks its hind legs straight out in front of it, and then it's just uses its 2 front paws to pull its arse across that's my favorite. I love it when dogs do that. Animals in the house. What? Come on.
Gary, turn off the YouTube. Take the dogs off the screen.
Sorry.
Anyway, so we go through that a few more. There's the Finoti. There's the Grackle Tooth. Everybody's always been raging about the Grackle Tooth. That's a pretty cool race. They have two toes on kind of weird hind legs.
Oh, yeah. They're kind of like a reptilian sort of a looking kind of a deal there. That's pretty neat. Oh, you know what? It actually kind of looks like a bit of a raptor. Like those are like chicken legs almost.
Yeah, almost. They're almost like dinosaur legs, or like chicken legs. They're kind of kicked back, but they get they're pretty powerful. They start out with the strength of D8, vigor of D6. They're cyber resistant, so they can't have any cybernetics. They're a very distinctive DB, and everybody's afraid of them. But I've always seen them played as heroes, so I think it's just a kind of a cool race. There's a special little notation here on the Grackle Tooth, and it says, "Stuff ain't built for me." A Grackle Tooth's unique physiology and proportions make it difficult for him to find armor he can use. Purchases and repairs are at least tripled in cost, and there's no way he can manage a Glitter Boy suit or any other power armor built for a normal-sized human frame, because he's pretty tall and he has a pretty weird set of legs, so it makes him really difficult to get in and out of things. These guys average like 8, 9, 10 feet tall.
Wow.
So you can imagine trying to get them into a Glitter Boy. They stand toe to toe with the Glitter Boy.
Yeah. 600 to 800 pounds as well. I mean, wow. They get a bit of a toughness.
Big, heavy
in the
guys.
deal.
And they can take a beating, man. These guys get size +2, so they can run 8 to 10. Like we were saying, 8 to 10 feet tall, weigh 600 to 800 pounds, and their size grants them a +2 toughness right off the bat. That, and they get strength D8. The trait maximum is a D12 +2, and the vigor D6, same with a trait maximum of D12 +1. I mean, these guys are just beasts, like Hulk smash kind of guys. I've always seen them played that way, and they really, really work out that way.
Yeah, no capacity for magic or psionics.
Nope.
And
these are just good old-fashioned beaters.
Yeah, just like straight up old school tanks. They don't suffer cold very well, so they take penalties to that, which is pretty good. Or hold on a
you'll
second.
find them in a lot of
that's right.
the desert regions and a lot of the plains and a lot of places where there's a lot of sunshine, a lot of warmth. At least in the United States part of the world, anyways, you won't find them up near the cold very often.
Their feet or legs are so distinctive with those long claws and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm surprised that they don't get some kind of bonus with by jumping up and doing like a kick.
They
with those things
get natural weapons. They get natural weapons. It says right here, Grackles do strength D6 damage with their bite, claws, and tail snap.
Prehensile tail. What does that do? So it can hold most melee weapons and pistols. Yes.
Yeah. So throw a sword in the tails. Wrap it up in the tail, and next thing you know, you got. And let me see. It granting an extra non-movement action per round at no multi-action penalty. So there you go. You can use a tail to attack things with no penalty.
That is wicked, dude.
Non-movement action. That is wicked. Yeah, but they can't use cybernetics. They can't use power armor. There's a lot of things they can't do. They can't cast magic. So there you go. That's one of the bonuses of having that kind of extra stuff.
Okay, I don't know what to do now.
I know you were so looking forward to talking about the Lin serial, the 4-armed, winged, bird-headed humanoids that lived in over in Arizona, but now you're at the Grackle Tooth going, oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah. What is the deal with this Finoti race? They look like freaking rat head kind of blind rat guys.
Yeah, so the Finotis are real cool because they are naturally psionic, so they don't see like normal people. They kind of see like the Altair blind warrior woman. Most of them are encountered carrying the Crescent Nimbu staff. It's a sacred traditional item representing travel and peace. The Finotis are practitioners of the art of Naudox, I think is how they pronounce it. It's a martial art focusing on avoidance and defense. So players of this DB wanting to know more about the martial arts should take edges benefiting defense, such as a martial artist, block, and dodge, because it's going to get sick when you start playing with this character. He can dodge like crazy. So because of his crazy face and his psionic abilities, this guy's a distinctive DB, so he suffers the -4 charisma when dealing with coalition states citizens. But he is a natural psionicist, so he's able to begin with, of course, the arcane background, but he gets 3 powers: armor, intelligibility, and telepathy.
Wow, nice.
He can, so if he chooses an icon framework that provides arcane background psionics, he follows all the normal rules for the framework, just as you normally would. The Finoti gets 1 additional power to his starting total. So a Finoti Burster, for example, starts with 4 powers, where a Mind Melter would start with 6.
Nice.
Yeah, that one's pretty cool. They always seem to be, everybody always talks about them as like quiet walkers. You never hear them coming, but man, when it hits the fan, it's not so quiet anymore. But you won't be able to see them coming because a lot of the times they'll be disguised as humanoids, because really only their head and their face are kind of different than everyone else. They're like a pale gray and tan facial structure with tiny little black dots for eyes on the sides of their heads, embedded in small mobile flaps that confuse others into thinking they're ears. They have an effective 280-degree range of vision because of that. They have whisker-like little fins on the sides of their jaws, and that act as noses grant them a wholly alien appearance to most humans. Even though they're tall and slender, they have 5 fingers, 2 arms, 2 legs, 5 toes. They are about 7 feet on average, but that face really makes them a distinctive DB. And of course, the psionics makes them pretty powerful if you pick a psionic character.
That's
so
cool.
There's a couple other ones in the custom, in all the different DBs that are here. The Psi Stalker we haven't even touched. That's a whole, I could talk about Psi Stalkers in a whole episode all on its own. And the Quick Flex is a lot of fun. One of the distinctive things about a Quick Flex, and everybody loves to play them because of it, is because of their ambidexterity, their agility, and their fast. So Quick Flexes start with a D8 in agility. They get to possess the ambidexterity edge for free, and they're extremely difficult to pin down in close quarters, giving them a +1 to parry. In addition to that, they get +2 to pace and increase their running die by 1 type. So being a Quick Flex is, pretty much you're going to be the fastest thing in the game.
Is that sort of their whole deal? Is they're fast and they can just sort of move out of the way all the time?
Yeah, and they talk really fast and they move really fast and they get bored easily and they sit around and they're tapping their toes and all you did was take a breath in between conversations. Or it's just fun to play a Quick Flex. They're like the Grackle Tooth. Most people think the Quick Flex are alien. They have no idea where those type of aliens come from. They're originally, I think, known as the Quindora, and that's a name that's been handed down over generations. So I'm not sure if that's the name of their world or the name of their race. But it goes through it a little bit here on page 61, the Quick Flex. Moving on, there's the Sim Van. Those guys are pretty cool. Those are kind of like monster riders. They tend to capture a lot of the dinosaurs and the big beasts that are roaming the plains, and they use them as their own steeds, which I think is pretty cool. They take a lot of basic weapons, but these guys are natural psionics also, so they get a lot of abilities like Beast Friend and other powers that are going to help them as their mounts, help them move faster, help protect themselves.
It says they can ride furry beetles or rhino buffalo or Ostrosaurus.
Yeah, an Ostrosaurus. So imagine an ostrich the size of an elephant. That's an Ostrosaurus. And these sim vans capture them and they use them like scouts because they're really fast, because they're just like ostriches, they have the long legs and they can move quickly. But they don't have so many feathers. They have more scales than feathers. But the sim van have they use their natural ability to work with beasts, and they use their psionic powers, beast friends, to be able to capture a lot of them. So seeing a sim van on top of a Triceratops is, one of the highlights of being in the Florida swamps of what I've seen.
Yeah, I got to tell you, in my my Wise Guy Sunday game, I played the Amazing Linda, and it's set in sort of like the 80s and 90s in Vegas. She's a magician and has she's got this snake, and I just feel weird about using the snake in it's what am I thinking of? It's not a pet, it's an ally kind of a thing, this big boa constrictor thing. So I'm sure that the premise is that I could use this snake to go in and maybe attack people. But because it's a realistic game, I just don't feel like I can use the Amazing Linda that way. Like, I don't think she'd be able to tell this snake to go attack somebody, because, you just can't train a snake to do that. So it's weird to have it as a pet. But this guy inside of Rifts would be cool, because you could, like, have this with your psionics, and these friggin' Ostrosaurasses are like a giant buffalo and stuff like that. You'd be like, hey, man, empathy, Aquaman style.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you cast that beast friend power on it, and you can have like an oversized boa constrictor, dinosaur-sized boa constrictor, as your mount, as your beast friend. Can you imagine? That would be an awesome Rifts character.
Yeah, they show up as like allies and stuff like that. You send these things into battle.
Mm-hmm.
Then you get their abilities. That would be freaking sweet, man.
Yeah, that's another one of those you need to write down, and you need to create a character for that and turn it into the the character catalog for what we're putting together on the Google Plus page, man. That would be awesome. I'd love to see that character, because I don't think I've ever seen anyone put together a Simvan using the new rules. I don't know if anyone's ever played one. If you've played a Simvan and you've put together a nice player character, please submit it to the Google Plus page for the community to take a look at. I'd love to take a look at it, because I don't think anybody I know. I'm trying to think back. Has anybody ever said that they've created a Simvan like that before? A Beast Rider, a Dino Rider Simvan? I think that would be pretty cool. That'd be a lot of fun.
That is actually cool.
That's so Rifts, it's not even funny. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because you start looking at the the characters, or not the characters, but like mobs and stuff like that inside of rifts, these things could probably do some serious destruction. So it's almost like, you're sending your tank into battle while you stand back and throw spears or, what other kind of magic you want to toss at them. These Lin cereals with these four-armed bird-like things, there's nothing special about them other than they're just basically like, they're like the Ariokra or whatever of Dungeons and Dragons, right? They're just like a flying birdman. Yeah, well, the flying birdmen actually have a pretty cool regeneration. They get the regeneration ability, make natural healing rolls once a day, and you can regenerate lost limbs. And if you gain a permanent injury, they make a vigor roll after recovering from incapacitation. And if you're successful, your injury heals after 1 to 6 days. They're pretty strong. They've got 4 arms. They can fly. Of course, they're a distinctive DB, so nobody likes to see them coming at them because they look really weird. They are resistant to cyberware. A lot of the Lin serials that I've played with, and of what I remember of the history of them, a lot of them follow the traditions of the Cyber Knights. Some of them have become pretty famous Cyber Knights, actually. And they've joined forces with Erin Tarn and all of her gang in order to be able to rescue and save a lot of DBs that are being hunted down by the CS, but also a lot of human beings. They've really become the white knights of the Rifts worlds for all the DBs. It's really cool. They have a really cool background. If you want to check it out, check out the Arsno world book for Rifts. There's a lot of good stories in there. We just played in my backyard here near the Grand Canyon in the last Rift campaign that we were playing, and the player characters were actually saved. The entire party was saved by a group of Lin Serial, and they helped them out and got them to civilization and got them safe out of the desert. So that was pretty cool. But there's some pretty fun stuff with the Lin Serial. A lot of the stuff was left out of the Tommorow Legion's Player's Guide from all the background that there is in Rifts. But take a look at that. If you guys get a chance, go take a look at the old Palladium website. There's a lot of the books over on the Drive-Thru RPG that you guys can pick up and try to convert some of these old Palladium Rifts characters using the custom races, positive racial abilities chart and the negative racial abilities chart. There's a lot of flexibility there. I think you could really do it. And if you come between a rock and a hard place, take a look at the existing races that are in there. Take a look at the Finoti. Take a look at the Grackle Tooth. This last one, the Trimador. These guys are a very distinctive DB race, but they're so super mechanically savants. They make some great techno wizards. They make some great operators, some mechanics, your power armor repair guy. Those are the Trimador race. That's always a lot of fun, but they definitely don't look, other than maybe having 2 legs, 2 arms, and a head, they're not your standard physiology like you normally think they would have. Yeah, that's cool. So they get long arms, they get extra reach on their deal, and they start with the Fix-It Edge, the Mr. Fix-It Edge, which is pretty cool. And then other than that, they're just basically like just sort of mechanically inclined fixing machines. I did notice. Like it says in there, unsurprisingly, many Trimador find the life of an operator or a techno wizard to their liking, and they're exceedingly good at those fields. They start out with repair at D6, knowledge at D6, knowledge computers, knowledge cybernetics, knowledge electronics, or knowledge engineering. You get to pick one of those in addition to repair without even having to spend any points on it. So if you spend some of your startup points with them, you could easily be up in the D10 or D12 range for a repair. There's some techno wizards that don't start with that without extra edges. Yeah, you would be a Glitter Boy's best friend. Oh, let me tell you, there's been many times where I've seen a Trimador come and, salvage a piece of equipment, and all of a sudden we're up and running in a big old diesel truck traveling across the, the Midwest or whatever. It's been a lot of fun. Yeah. Hey, you know what? We're 56 minutes into this bad boy, so we're going to stop it there. I just flipped the page, and guess what? We're on to traits next week. Look at us go. Look at that. Oh, that's how we do it. We must be getting good at this or something. I don't know. Nice timing. All right. Well, that's going to be it for this episode of Savage Rifters Podcast. We covered the Trimador, the Simvan, the Quick Flex, the Psystalker, Lin Serial, Grackle Tooth, Finoti, Dog Boy, Denor, and the sexy blonde warrior women that I didn't get sidetracked on of Altair, and check them out. So, stay tuned next week when we cover traits. What's under the traits section? We got some strength, we got some skills, we got some other things, hindrances, edges. Ooh, this is going to get exciting because this is where all of the crazy Rifts edges come into place with their extra dice rolling stuff. Nice.
Oh, whoa, bloody hell. Oh man, I love this guy. Do we have to go yet? Yes. Oh, please. Of course we do. We've got work to do. Please can we stay just a little bit longer? Stop it, Jeffrey. Right, come on back through the rifts there. Fine. Can you hear?
Well, the sweet sound of that rift opening means it's time to pack up and portal out. Take us out with some contact info, Dogboy Jenkins, Victor Diaz.
Ladies and gentlemen, you can reach us at the Murder Hobo Show at gmail.com or get us on Twitter, and if you can keep it under 140 characters, at Murder Hobo Show. Of course, over at the Google Plus page, you can find the Murder Hobo Show and myself under the Nerds International banner, or you can reach out to me directly on Google Plus Savage Rifts page, where the community's always talking the one and only game we love to play, Savage Rifts. That's not always true, actually, because we've been playing a lot of ICRPG lately. We've been talking about that a lot.
I just love playing
Tabletop
games.
Simulator and that whole nonsense.
Be sure to swing by the Murder Hobo Show on Podbean and check out the show notes for some links to cool, creative people, places, and things.
Don't forget to catch our other podcasts, Threats, Treats, and Timers, where we talk about ICRPG, and the ICRPG Core 2.0 is due any day now, Gary. So excited.
I'm excited, too. Did you read what he put about it today? Never mind, because this isn't the ICRPG podcast. We'll save it for the next one. Tune in next time. We will have another action-packed show, and we'll be tackling more on this character section of the Player's Guide. We'll do some traits, some edges, some hindrances, some sweet stuff. There is a lot of material in this amazing universal setting. Peace out. See you later, Victor.
See ya.
The Murder Hobo Show is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned on this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and education or review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of the Murder Hobo Show, copyright 2018, all rights reserved.